Hello YouTube, Nicole again here. This time I felt like discussing an observation I had made while watching the low carb conventions and carnivore speakers talk about, women specifically, talk about their struggles with and how they came to carnivore was due primarily to their bodies getting excessively fat dominated. And what that told me was that I was not alone in my deep concern around gaining weight. I had previously come to think that it was a vanity issue, and yes, there was some health implications, but it was really vanity and wanting to be attractive to the opposite sex. But I've since started to think that maybe there's a little more going on there than just that. One of the things that I had kept hearing when I was doing research around sugar and carbohydrates was that women in the 1800s and 1700s were very concerned about their waistline and were often told to avoid sugar and bread to keep their waistline status quo. And I thought, well, that's interesting because these women didn't have fashion magazines, and these women didn't have the Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition and Instagram models to constantly highlight a certain body style, and yet they still had this same concern about their waist being moderate in size. So that was sort of interesting to me. And then I had my own experience of gaining weight in my 20s, which was primarily because I began to drink a lot in college, and then it just became a life habit of drinking after work, social habit, etc. And then although I never became physically addicted to it, I did begin a lifestyle addiction. Or I would say this, alcohol became the solution to my problems. And so many years ago, I did stop drinking, but the damage was done, and I had gained a good 20 to 30 pounds of extra body weight from my girlishly slim figure. I had become kind of a portly 30-something-year-old. And so just quitting drinking, unfortunately, did not rectify the damage done to the metabolic structure. So cut forward, I did end up losing all the weight and some doing the HCG diet. And one could even say that I had overdone the HCG diet, but it was very successful for me. The problem is that at the time, I did not fully understand the seriousness of carbohydrate addiction. And it's only been after years and years of study that it's even really dawned on me what people are up against. So the carbohydrate conundrum, it reminds me a lot of the alcoholic conundrum that they call alcohol cunning, baffling, and powerful. And, sorry, I think my cap. And I think carbohydrates are a very similar foe, is that we have something that I call the amnesia of the alcoholic is just like the amnesia of the carboholic, that we forget how cunning and baffling the first bite could be for us if you truly have an issue. Really? Come on now. Cats. So I guess what I'm just trying to put out there is that for some of us, carbohydrates are something that needs to be avoided at all costs because it can be such a slippery slope back to our prior consumption habits. And for me, that's definitely true. Anytime I had lost weight by cutting carbs, I've regained the weight by adding carbs. And I've done this a few times. So moving to carnivore and eliminating all of my cravings, I feel like it has left me very clear-headed. For the first time in my adult life, I feel very clear-headed about how carbohydrates affect me, both physically and mentally, and how they can weaken my resolve very quickly. And it's not that I am afraid of them, per se, but I am very respectful of them. Doing research has really, really helped me in this process of taking it out of the moral universe, meaning that weight gain is a moral failing of mine, and more into the world of chemical addiction and industrially modified foods that amplify that effect. And I just got caught up in it like everybody else. And, I'm not special. I'm just like everybody else. And so I wanted to put that out there because for me, for many years, I felt a lot of pain around my weight gain and my inability to solve it. I felt like if I'm a smart girl, I should be able to rectify this. And it just felt very embarrassing. And just hearing the fact that there are other really smart women, very educated, very knowledgeable about science and medicine. A lot of them are doctors, scientists, who also struggled with the same stuff, really felt like, okay, this is not a personal failing thing. This is an addiction thing and a very physically damaging process that I have been caught up in. So I guess with that, I will say that I believe that the carnivore diet is probably, for me, the best solution where I get all of my nutrients met in a very simple form. And I don't have to sit and try to calculate how many carbs I can get away with without tripping the switch of the descent into madness. So I guess for me, it's been a super big victory. Plus, I don't have to do meal planning and all of that. I just have to cook up a few ribeyes, one to eat and one to slice up and take with me in case I get hungry on the road. Really, really simple. It's the simplest diet I've ever been on, and it's the simplest, it really alleviates a lot of my mental space so that I can do other more interesting and validating uses of my intellect than freaking calorie counting and macro counting and all that stupid shit. So anyway, I hope that's of use to somebody out there, and hope to see you soon. Thanks.